Welcome back, audience. Hope you're doing good. As always. Oh man, oh man. Cheers. So, consciousness calibration, huh? I've been looking at this uncoupling or unlabeling or um, stopping the narration that is the process of the mind. I was watching that moment when the mind pitches in, turns on, and says, hey, let me narrate this. Oh, this is this. Oh, I know what this is. Oh, I know what this is, right? As you are observing the source of all your feelings. And if you can stay there without turning on the narrator, it's like a bit of a habit. Where you meet it with silence rather than babble. Right? There's something going on there. And I was wondering, like, what is that thing that's going on? 1 second. My washer dryer was going nuts. So I was looking at it and wondering what is going on there. And what I found is quite interesting. The mind does something to the energy. It patterns it, then creates an image out of that, and then a symbol. That is all there is to the mind. That's what the mind does. And I'm separating it from the soul and the body. Okay? So that's what the mind does. Now, what are we doing when we are watching the source of all the feelings? It's a bit of a trick to do that. And whenever the mind comes in and tries to label it or create a pattern out of this, for example, one of those patterns may be this energy is painful. That's just a pattern. Mind has patternized the energy for it to be painful. So when you look at it and you unlabel it and you say, well, let's look at it deeper than what the mind is doing. And you look deeper, and sure enough, it's completely something else, something that is alive, something that is amazing, something that is changing and not frozen in a pattern. Okay? So watch how the whole world is the mind, and it will always consist of the pattern, the image, and a symbol. My words are symbols. Even your sensations and me seeing with this backwards hat is a symbol too. Everything in the world of matter is a symbol. But when we communicate, I'm making sounds with my mouth that you know what the words mean. And if you're listening to my words all the way to the source, of where they're coming from, you may even get in touch with the full image and a pattern and the quality where they're coming from, what kind of energy is there, right? So that is just like a direct experience of a symbol. Now, I've noticed what the mind does. It encodes and decodes. That's what it does. It encodes and decodes. So you could take the pattern, let's say pain, attach it to an image, and then attach it to a symbol, and you create this little bubble of reality. Now, you don't even want to be exposed to a symbol of that, because the symbol creates an image and creates the pain. Does that make sense? And so then a person like that, who has a lot of these reality bubbles that's created, is living life avoiding the symbols of pain in this particular situation, or suffering. There are 4 roots of suffering: pain, pressure, poison, and confusion. But, those 4 elements. So, isn't it interesting? That's what mind does. I could say something which is just a symbol, right? And if you have the meaning attached to pain, you may get upset about what I say. But it's only because of how your mind is wired to looking at that particular symbol. Like my handsomeness may offend you, for example. Sorry, couldn't resist. All right, enough of being a retard. The word retard may offend you, right? But it's just a symbol that may create an image in your mind, and then, and stuff like that. And then you try to shut people up that say that word because it hurts you, right? And why does it happen? Because you're walking around with these reality bubbles made by the mind, right? And there are a limited number of those. But guess what? None of them actually serve you. None of them actually even, some people may argue like, well, that suffering and pain kind of helps you to survive. It actually hinders the capacity of survival. Because if you're in a psychological pain, emotional pain, because like somebody's shouting at you, right? Now you're stressed out. Your system is like, in all sorts of like wired up, right? And you're not sharp enough to actually watch if there's any kind of danger to the body because you're so occupied with the psychological pain. It's perfectly fine to avoid pain and seek that satisfaction in the world of the body. Okay? It's perfectly fine. And in fact, that sharpness is there whenever you don't have to deal with these emotional reality bubbles, as they call them. You're sharper. You actually see if there's actual danger to your body, right? It's perfectly fine to navigate this world to make sure that your body is safe, well taken care of, and not in pain. There, you don't have to try to change anything. You've got to keep everything as it's functioning because it's valid. And it's fascinating to me how there's a reversed system. If you apply the same system on your psyche as you apply on the body, that's when all the problem starts. So we don't. So we apply something else. We don't apply the capacity of the mind of encoding, because it can encode that pain again and again and again and reinforce it and make that symbol to be even more and more painful, right? If you just keep going on that thing, because that's what the mind does, right? It says like, here's the pain, that's the thing, that's the symbol, let's avoid it. But if you go and decode everything, because I think that's the process that your consciousness is doing, and that is the capacity of your heart, your soul, is to observe, and it's almost like you're deleting all the meaning from the symbol and putting it back into the pure energy before it became suffering and uncomfortable. That's what we're actually doing. So it seems like there's a lot of these reality bubbles that we have to keep on decoding it back into the source, back into the energy, back into the energy. And that seems like a prevalent process that's happening, at least to me and many other people that, listen to me and talk to me. And it's like, mostly it's about undoing belief systems, undoing, going back, putting it back into the source, back into that energy. And it's just retrieving that energy. And what that energy is, that is peace and passion. Peace, bliss, as I sometimes call it, right? And only then, when there's that quality, there's that energy, and when you let that shine into the imagination or in the action, now things change. Okay? Because, I don't want to go into these things, but there's an overlap of what I'm saying, because I'm seeing everything directly. I'm seeing the types of bliss, the types of, what's this red passion, blue passion, as I call it, which is just a new term that I started using, because, in the video games, there's a mana energy, and then the vital energy, right? The red and blue. That's the passion energy, or sometimes you can call it confidence. It is an energy out of which you can create something. And the red shift pertains to the physical world, and is a type of manifesting the physical things, right? And the blue is more to do with the form, and the quality and events in your life, activities, and things like that, right? The dreams. But also, for these dreams to happen, you also need to have your resources taken care of, which is red, right? And that type of passion will manifest. If you use this, it will manifest. Red type of resources. If you use the blue type of passion, you manifest the other ones. Okay, but you gotta go there, into your mind, into the body, from that quality of energy that you've discovered after you keep on undoing, right? So that's what I do. That's what I do with the consciousness calibration. If you've been considering to do this, okay? Because it's such a freaking amazing thing. Once you learn it once, it's amazing. You can undo anything. Put it back into that amazing feeling. Live from that amazing feeling of, contentment, abundance, whatever you want to call it, and never need to suffer again. It's invaluable. It's incalculable of the value. That's something that you gotta learn first. And it's so slippery and so interesting but it's doable. And you can go your thought process from the symbol to the image, to the pattern, which is a feeling or emotion, and then poof, unlabel it. And don't name it, don't call it, don't narrate it, whatever's going on there. Without the narration, there's this energy. Now, the narrator comes along and says like, oh, look at this. This is a little bit like uncomfortable. That's the narration. So you just, okay, what is this without narration? Oh, fuck, this is dope ass shit. Oh, fuck. You know? So, and I keep on, that's all you gotta do there. It does not require anything more. You can remain there. It's a bit of a habit, but then you remain there and you never go back to this habit. And if it comes back, you go back into it. Okay? Never narrating ever again. Never encoding anything from that incoherence. Never encoding anything from that incoherence. No, that is such a gangster thing that like if a person gets to that point, that's it. It is a motion of consciousness that should never been used. Then then you will begin to fill up with that energy. And what I wanted to mention is this 7 types of anandas or ecstasies of Patanjali. Like it's just that it's coincidence, right? Like this, I don't go into the traditions. I don't want to go into the traditions. Everything that I'm discovering, I don't want to make it into tradition. I want to make it into universal, laws of consciousness, the way it works. They actually works the way that it should have been written in Hermeticism. I want to make it so universal that the language is geometry, the language is physics, the language is energy, and then you put whatever symbol you want. I don't care, as long as the meaning is not lost. So, you begin to start filling up with that energy that you've been wasting. Now, the 7 types. Now, at the beginning, which I call Dirji, you may see that all of these, that white light that you discover first, comes back because there's no narrating mind that is running anymore. So it keeps on going the other way. But as it keeps on going the other way, eventually it cannot go any further. And it pops back up automatically and starts encoding again, but not prematurely. And when it encodes again, it encodes from this coherent, alive energy. And it seems that it does that automatically. It's just that you go into this silent approach on watching it, and you let it happen, and it starts being what it's being. It starts maybe sparkling, which is like, rainbow energies. So that's before the energies are being sort of like differentiated. So you feel that bliss that is primordial, that can fill up any kind of reservoir of your energies. And then it does fill up that blue passion and that red passion, as I call it. Hopefully I'm not losing you. And then you can see that there is a difference between the blue passion and the red passion, the way it feels. It's a spectrum, right? But you can also feel all of that Perlamuttra or that rainbow that's coming out of that source, which is just white bliss, but it automatically just starts, almost like breathing or pulsing those sparkles. That's, start doing that. And that energy energizes your mind and your body correctly with the coherent energy. Now, your mind is not going to be stupid and going to try to get something that is useless and nonsensical. And your body is not going to do something that is that. This energy makes sure that is to be the case. Now, so what do we see here? So that process that we've been doing with our heart and basically encoding the meaning prematurely is no longer functioning. So your heart is now flowing in the other way that it used to do. And if you just get that momentum, that gravity, because of the way it feels so freaking good that you're just like, okay, nothing can replace this thing. I like this thing. I'm going to keep on not returning to that mode of being. Okay? So that is fixed. You fix your heart basically and never need to go back. But the mind and the body, now that it's energized with this beautiful energy, you let the mind encode then. You understand? You don't let the mind to do that thing of decoding because it cannot do it. It can only encode. Your heart can decode and your mind can encode. So if the process is requiring you to decode it back into this pure energy because it feels so uncomfortable, so it's undoing. So it is not learning in a sense of accumulating information. It's like a disk defragmentation. You're just like, you're taking all the meaning away from the symbol, away from this. It doesn't have any charge anymore. And you return to this awesome energy. Does that make sense? And then you let your mind, whenever it's overspilling with that beautiful energy, then you let your mind encode this. And mind will come up all sorts of ideas of what kind of image to create out of that feeling. Okay? And eventually also it will come up with what kind of symbol it will be. Now, when you start creating these reality bubbles that feel really good, that stemming from there, your soul is keep on undoing all this function, and your mind is using pure energy and encoding the pure energy. So you're creating these reality bubbles that are amazing to be in. And now the symbol of you looking at something, and a symbol, whatever that may be, and boom, it creates amazing images and amazing feelings. Right? That's what it means to you now. Before it was like, oh no, I want to avoid this. But now you enjoy it. Before you didn't want to look at it. Okay? Now, that's when the preference comes in, and now that energy, where are you going to put that energy? To what image? That's the one that's going to feel amazing. That's the one that's going to be turned into some sort of like a symbol. Does that make sense? So we're using our consciousness the way it's meant to be used. Also, on this side of the pond, like the learning is quite new because you have to now use that energy and let the mind do its thing, because look, the mind's going to do this automatically. Okay, it's automatic. There's a beautiful energy, you point to what you want and what kind of form it needs to take, and it starts doing this thing. It starts creating these things. It's very creative. It's just like, oh, I see. Okay, this is amazing energy. I'm going to put the pattern to it. I'm going to put the image to it, and I'm going to put the symbol to it. I'm going to create the whole reality bubble that is enjoyable. Okay. So I'm right now just looking at these reality bubbles, and that's, of course, to do with theurgy. The theurgy is basically having that alive energy and creating the pattern, which is a feeling or emotion that is amazing, right? But there's so many of them, there's almost infinite, and it becomes a creative thing. It's like, okay, now I have that prima materia. Anything I create out of this is going to feel really good, and I create that. Now, eventually, even that's going to get old, and you're going to have to decrypt it, right? Or, decode it and create a new one. But for the time being, that's the reality that you want to live and enjoy. Does that make sense? It's very different to the way most of this is being explained and done. I can 100% guarantee you this unlabeling process, this decoding process that your consciousness is capable of doing is not used by many people. And that is the way. It is not learning more information. It is undoing. And if you learn a lot of information, you're going to have to undo everything. Because that's already encoded onto like fucked up meaning. All that information, it's interesting how it all works, because there's a fucked up pattern which feels bad. Then the mind creates, the image and the symbol, and then it has to create another image that counteracts that. Right? So you get like the secondary payoff of still holding the suffering inside of you, but gaining some sort of vanity-driven reward to pacify it. It's not it. That includes all the people who are like teaching this. It's like, and learning this exercise and that exercise. This is not an exercise. This is just a capacity of your consciousness that is natural. And once you see it, you're like, what the fuck? It is really sounds too good to be true. That's how awesome it is. Right? And the same thing with the body. Your body already knows how to use that energy. Okay? So use everything correctly. Body is just a navigating thing, right? It's just sensations and motions, right? Mind is this meaning-creating machine. And soul, it is this decoding and unraveling old information back into the energy. Something that's old as old it has to be. So I'm wondering if, let's say, you create something out of this. But this is very fascinating. Just listen. If you create something that feels amazing from that source, right? And you created that, it exists, it's a reality bubble. I'm wondering if it's over time does not get degraded and becomes not fun at all. Which at this point you're going to have to recycle it back again and to create from this fresh energy again. And that explains why, for example, you may be enjoying some particular thing, and the more you, when it's overused, you know what happens usually when you are over and over repeating this experience. It loses its charm, doesn't it? And then you may be like, oh fuck, this is annoying. This, yeah, you know, how the fuck did I even like it? That happens because you, every time you've experienced something that's already been created, you have a wear and tear, it seems. And then something that pattern that was felt amazing is no longer amazing. You see? It becomes old. And so you have to create something from fresh and new. And that's when we could have like a real art and a real science that is renewed. It's always changing according to times. Because sometimes you see a person like coming on the perfect time, and his or her expression is perfect for the time, and then it's great, everybody enjoys, and then forget, and then it's like, well, that person is annoying now. What the fuck is going on, right? Unless the person adapts, goes with the times, and becomes, more spontaneous, driven, and dissolves his old persona, creates a new one. The entire reality bubble. So when you change your mind, you change the world. It's just the way it is. Okay? So your mind may prefer certain images, right? Like it may prefer one particular car over the other, right? But in order for you not to get bored of that car, you're going to have to create a reality with a different type of feeling associated with that car that is a newly refreshed, enjoyable feeling, so you can continue to enjoy that car. That includes your wife, that includes your children, that includes everybody. So continuously renewing, and this is in that continuous renewal, you get to continue enjoy and never get bored of that image that your mind may be preferring. You understand? Continuously new meaning assigned to the same image. Even the image is not exactly the same, you know what I'm trying to say, because it changes, it's different. Because you even see the person differently when there's a different meaning attached to this. And God damn it. This is it, guys. This is it. Now the next task is how to wield this power with your imagination and your action. Nothing else really matters anymore. This is the gist of life. Energy is no longer wasted. But now there's still, of course, there's skills and things to learn of how to channel that and direct that energy, that power. Okay? And I know that movement creates vital energy. You have to move. You have to interact with people. A person moving in front of you is a type of interaction, a type of motion. You got to see a lot of motion around you, and you got to obviously move as well. I know that this interaction with people, moving through space and time, generates that vital energy. But when you move through space and time while sparkling this and joy energy, it loads up your vital energy. It's interesting how it works, right? Like if you ever like get tired over and like no reason whatsoever, it is likely because you have not alchemized the energies and something's draining your energy. But if you have alchemized the energies, then you just need to start moving and move through that energy for that vital energy to start piling up. And it's a type of feeling, the red passion, I call it. The same thing with imagination. You got to start moving your imagination. And as you start moving your imagination, the blue passion will start flowing and fill up. This is something that of how you continue using your mind properly and how you continue using your body properly. Okay? Because without the use of the mind or the body, you're not going to be able to create and be creative and playful in the world. This is why this learning of how to decode the bubble of the reality back into the pure energy is fantastic, but then you're going to have to encode it back into the new. Okay? Again, just to summarize, you charge up your mana or the blue passion energy by moving in imagination, interacting with imagination, moving in imagination, astral projecting, lucid dreaming. That's how you're going to charge up your energy there. And as you charge up your energy, then you use it more and more for the things that you want to create. And the same thing here. If you lack energy vitally to do exercise and things like that, that's how you do it. You move that joyful energy in action, and you'll start feeling it's charging up your batteries. So the imagination, enjoyable imagination, charges the energy for more and more imagination. It kind of builds itself up upon it. And enjoyable movement charges the energy for more movement, builds up upon itself. It charges up through movement. And so you get more and more of that energy, and so you can do more and more with it. You see? Until eventually that gets old and you have to recycle the whole thing back and create something new. But that's how it works. So again, like if you felt like hesitation about doing something, the trick is to begin moving. That's the trick. Whatever, little thing. If you say like, oh my God, I have to eat the whole elephant. Okay, well, just take a bite. That, you'll be surprised that, oh, that gave me, and especially if you do it with that, not especially, but when you do it with that enjoyable energy that you discovered upon, keep on decoding the crap within your heart back into energy, you'll start feeling like, oh, it gives me more. Oh, it gives me more energy. So it's a type of, gives you that red passion and that blue passion. So there's a white passion, goes into the rainbow passion. The rainbow passion charges up your blue passion and then your red passion. This is just basically a lexicon that I'm using. Okay? So, focus session. If you've been thinking about this, this is the time. Peace! And I'll see you in the next one.